Welcome to the Value of Recruitment podcast with me, Jon Brooks. Sponsored by Atlas, the recruitment platform helping you become an AI-powered recruiter. This week, my guest is Chelcie Harry, VP of Marketing at Levin, a specialist recruitment group focused on the fintech, health tech, and green tech sectors. Chelcie talks about how investing in marketing can make business easier even as markets get more competitive, and specifically how building a strong brand can win more inbound clients and upfront fees. We discuss how positioning yourself in the right way can make clients feel they can't not choose us. Chelcie also explains how she's constantly working to understand her clients and what they value from their recruiter. Chelcie applies marketing ideas from other industries to show how we can better understand the power of branding, positioning, and communicating value to our clients. Enjoy the show. I hope you find it valuable. Chelcie, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Jon. Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure to have you here. Now, I'm going to kick off with the big question, as always. How valuable is recruitment in your eyes?
The big question indeed. Super valuable. I think, obviously, from a biased perspective, it's my career. But I think that it holds a real important place in society as well. I think that especially if you look at the troubles that we have across people's, society at the moment in terms of people trying to find jobs and things like that, I think we play a really valuable part in moving the economy forward and, finding people that actually are doing amazing things. We always joke about it in the business, but as a company that works with industries that are very tech forward and doing quite exciting things in the space, while we're not the ones that are changing the world, we're helping the people that are changing the world get those jobs and get those platforms and build the products and the exciting things that are quite literally changing lives in some industries. So very biased, but I think it's a super valuable space.
Yeah. And changing the world. I mean, it sounds great. It sounds
Of course,
grandiose, doesn't it?
Of course, and it's not going to be every role, right? But
no, but you're in marketing. Your job is to take those stories and tell them, I guess, and get them out there. So how do you do that? Talk us through, the type of clients you've got and the stories that are changing the world, and how you get them out to more clients for the benefit of the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think as you said there, it isn't every single role that is doing that. We are, I wouldn't say we're fortunate because it's obviously a tactical thing that we've gone after, but the markets that we operate in as Levin, we're a multi-brand recruitment business. So we have Storm 2, Storm 3 and Storm 4. And the markets that those businesses operate in are fintech, health tech, and energy infrastructure and mobility, or green tech, clean tech. Especially on the health tech side of things and on the sort of clean tech side of things, they are making tangible differences to the world, whether it is quite literally helping solve, or, we've got a desk within the AI drugs discovery space. Quite literally, they are solving some of the world's health issues. So while, one of our recruiters can't say that they are pushing forwards with cancer treatments, they have worked with Nobel Science Prize winners. They've worked with some of the smartest people in the world that are literally going into work every day, having that fulfillment side of things. So I think it's a really interesting thing from a marketing point of view, because while the clients side of things aren't necessarily wanting to know about who they're competing with clients-wise, the candidates, you can sell that. You can sell that as a dream, as an option, because people are motivated by purpose and passion and trying to do that. So it's a really interesting role to be in from a marketing perspective, to be able to market people's purpose and giving them those kind of opportunities.
Yeah, I heard a really interesting podcast with the CEO of Eli Lilly, who the biggest health firm in the world. And of course, you and I and everyone listening, we're all focused about people, but so much of what he was saying about drug discovery and growing the business and the life-changing stuff that they literally do, so much of his focus was on the people side of things. So he talked about organizational structure. He talked about how to attract people. And again, recruiters, of course, play a
Of
part in
course.
that. And sometimes we need to jump up and down and say, that's us.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
Well, that is the other side of it. If you take away the, fun industries that we work in, if you actually just apply this to recruitment in general, ultimately, whenever we're pitching people for jobs, it's not just the job that we're pitching, because that's not really what you're selling. And this is one of the things that I always try and talk about when we're writing job ads, like, things like this. It's not actually what the job itself, the day to day, is going to offer you. It's what the freedom of that paycheck offers you. It's what that, it's suddenly being able to offer someone the ability to take their child to work in the morning because they've got a bit more flexibility. It's more PTO for someone, so they're able to, go back home and visit their family if they're abroad, working abroad or something like that. So jobs in, if you're getting a bit psychological or philosophical, they are not just what the 9 to 5 is, what the job title is, or anything like that. It's the freedom of what they offer you in terms of your lifestyle and what you want to achieve with it. And I think that is, as I said, from a marketing point of view, and obviously it really applies to job ads, trying to put that into a little blurb. But that is such an interesting place. And I think, as I said, from a recruitment space, what a special thing to be able to, support people on and match people on. And I think that's something that is not it where recruiters get that bad rep in the wider industry. That's not focused on. Like, they don't really focus on all the good stuff. They focus on the bad stuff. That unfortunately is just the case because of the system being quite broken. But they don't focus on this amazing things of those friendships and those lifetime relationships that you can have with these candidates, because you're able to get them into a place where they want to be and offer them the dreams that they had in terms of what they want to achieve with their careers and goals.
Yeah. And in the examples you gave earlier, you're offering the status of and the experience of working with a Nobel Prize winner, for example.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's worth more than money.
100%.
That's an incredible experience. Nice, I like it. So you've got incredible sectors that you specialize in. That's great, but there are other recruitment agencies in. So how do you make sure that Levin stands out? How do you make sure clients see you and understand who Levin is versus your competition?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting one. And I think the competition aspect is something that I think about a lot, because it's something that I talk to the team about a lot, with this idea of what is our competition actually. You always think about it as another recruitment firm that is in the same space, and that is partly a competition. That is, someone who might offer the same network or same kind of service as you do. But actually, especially in today's market, your competition is not just another recruiter. We're competing with tech that might do the same thing. We're competing with a recruiter license for that in-house person. We're competing with not hiring. Like, that is a valid competition for a lot of senior roles that you're going up against. The competition sometimes is just, we in marketing, we talk about the 4 Ps. This is very relevant to this conversation, because one of those 4 Ps is pricing. But the other 4 Ps as well, when it talks about promotion and placement and positioning and what's the other one?
Well, then there's 7 Ps.
That was great.
The marketing went all over. Sorry, the marketing theory went all over. Yeah. So anything you can think of that's a P that's vaguely business related, marketing were like, we'll have that.
Exactly.
So I forget what the original 4 were.
Yeah. But all of those are really key, and I think that's how you actually compete against anything. You make it so that your audience want to work with you. You make it so they don't have any other option. Whether that is because you are the best in terms of price point. Like, personally, from our business, that is not what we compete against. we're not the cheapest option in any capacity. But we make it so that we're the best in that way, and it's a bit of a no-brainer, whether it is your candidate pool that you've got or whether it is the brand that you've got. I'm a big believer that brand is a big positioning difference in terms of the businesses that you work with. But But yeah, I think nowadays that competition angle is probably, it's so much more complicated than it used to be. You cannot just say that you're competing against another person in, two streets over on in the city at another desk, because that's not what competition looks like in 2026 for sure. Well, you asked like how do we do it in terms of how do we kind of position ourselves differently? I think our focus is specialism. That's a really, really big part of this. Our CEO loves a business book, and one of our last few years, a big focus for us has been talking about this blue ocean mentality. Like, how do we create this blue ocean? And that's obviously a lot about standing out from your competition here. And for us, it's on speed, service, and specialism. And we say that our kind of position is exec search at speed, because we're able to kind of deliver on, if you think about recruitment as three categories, you've got exec search, you've got boutique agencies, and you've kind of got generalists, the large generalists, and they're all good at different things. What we like to kind of think of ourselves is as a 120 person business at the moment. We are sort of the size of these boutique agencies. So we have that specialism focus. Not only do Storm 2 only focus within fintech, but actually the teams themselves, the desks, only focus within sales roles within fintech. Some of them only focus within sales roles within payments. They're micro niche specialists. So really their networks, rather than them being, if you think about your total addressable market on the candidate side of things, we're saying that they're in the top 1% of the US market because we're only doing US recruitment. So their network is so hyper niche that the chances are that they're first or second connections just on LinkedIn with everyone in that market. Because that's how we train the teams to be. Make yourself invaluable to that network, become an expert in it, become a thought leader in it, build those relations within that space so that you know when people are moving, so that you know when, who to speak to at any given time. That leads on to the speed piece, because we know ourselves, we're so ingrained in that market, we're able to be really quick to access that market. So while generalists might be able to do every single role under the sun, big recruitment businesses, we're able to do it just as fast as they are, because they've got access to this big infrastructure, but on a more specialist angle. And then we say about the exec search side of things from a service perspective, because we turn down a lot of roles. We only work what we do work. We've got a lot of infrastructure built behind it. They've got a marketing team to support them when it comes to pitch decks, when it comes to market mapping, when it comes to a lot of these, services and the add-ons that traditionally exec search are able to offer, because they charge very high prices. We try and offer the same things. Hopefully it's slightly cheaper prices than exec search, but we're able to do it faster. So sometimes it is very much the same prices as exec search.
Yeah. Well, there's the classic triangle of good, fast, and cheap, and you can only choose two of those three. Now you're saying fast is one of your speed is one of your key positions.
Fast and good.
Good is the other one. Yeah,
exactly.
And again, good. Yeah, a lot of recruiters, I think a lot of businesses go out to their market and say, "Hey, we're good. We're better than we're the best." That's not defined.
Yeah.
Whereas you define that really nicely. You're like, hang on, we are so micro niche that we can show you, and the way we talk shows that we are the best. It's measurable almost. So you can say, right, we are measurably good, we are measurably fast, and we justify why. And that leads on to humans generally understand that triangle and go, well, you can't also be cheap.
Yeah, exactly that. And we do, I say we're not cheap. We offer options, right? This isn't just a static menu board of this is what the prices are. It's part of that relationship building of understanding what's working for your customer and being able to offer the different price points depending on what they're needing, and depending on what that terms look like as well, what the relationship looks like long term. But it's still, you're paying for what you get with us. We're saying that we have the most in-depth network, the most relevant network to what you need. We understand your concerns because we only work with businesses like yours. Also, the sort of what's it called when you're trying to compare yourself to your neighbors? What's it when people
Keeping up with the Joneses.
it's a bit keeping up with the Joneses within these markets, because the big players, not even the big players, the startups, anyone like that, they know what the next person's doing. They want that person's product manager. They want that person's finance director, because they've already seen it happen in that capacity, which for me makes it a really interesting marketing thing, because you're kind of playing people off each other. You're saying, well, these businesses use us, so why aren't you?
Yeah.
Which is a yeah. Jealousy is not is a fun emotion to be.
Yeah. Let's label it demand. Let's label it demand, and
Exactly.
understanding the demand,
Of course.
understanding that is really important, I think. Something you said earlier, I really like, which comes from this clarity that you're talking about, is our clients can't not choose us. I think it's a really nice thing to aim for, because you can say, right, it's not just like, oh, can we look good? It's how can we force our clients to have to choose us? And I don't know about you, but there's so many parts to that. It's a career's worth of work. But yeah, you can have the executive board level pressure. So this idea of, well, why haven't you brought in Levin to work with that? It's then the individual, the buyer, or the person whose team you're recruiting for saying, well, hang on, I don't want to work with a generalist.
Yeah.
I know someone who, I know they've just had coffee with the person who, that keeping
or
up with the
hopefully
Joneses.
they were the ones that used us as a candidate, and they've had such a good experience with us in that capacity that they know what we work on both sides, how we work on both sides of it. So it's a no-brainer that they've got this loyalty. And this is really where that brand idea comes into, because in every other industry, brand is such a differentiator as to how loyal you are to something. How do you buy Heinz, or do you buy your local brand supermarket ketchup? Like, there's a reason why you stay with something, and it's not just because of, as with any like our service offering, it is effectively putting a bum on a seat, right? In ketchup, you got 4 ingredients. You can make your own. What's stopping you making your own versus buying Heinz and spending £4 or £5 on a tube that lasts you a couple of months? I don't know. I haven't. I don't use ketchup every day.
Couple of weeks in our house, but carry on.
Yeah, a couple of weeks. There you go. There's a point, like, why is it that you're buying Heinz? What is it about that? There's a feeling that it gives you, and it's a sense of something that you'll use throughout your life. It's just not something that we really focus on. And I know I've got theories as to why we don't focus on it on recruitment, but brand is just not, it feels like it's only something that the big players kind of focus on, rather than something that the smaller teams. And I don't actually think this is a marketer's fault. I think this is a lot of marketers would believe exactly what I'm saying here. I just think that there's budget constraints.
Yeah, so I mean, the ketchup one's a great example.
Yeah.
I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but I think in the UK, more than 50% of sales are for Heinz, and yet they are 2-3 times more expensive than the supermarket alternatives that you can get whichever supermarket you go to. So it's so powerful, and from a pricing perspective, of course, it's fascinating to me.
Really interesting.
The price is higher, the ingredients are the same. It is the positioning, it's the story, it's
the placement is different though, right? Like they
True.
pay premium, or they allow that they request from the store so that it is in your eye line. So it's the one that you're seeing. You don't have to change your behavior. You don't have to bend down. You don't have to stretch to get that one. It is immediately in your eye line. And that's such a fascinating thing from my point of view, to look at different industries, whether it is the retail industry, or whether it is the FMCG industry, or any of these other industries, and apply something from that to how it works in recruitment. Like, what does that mean in physical placement for recruitment? Well, that would be, are we appearing where our customers are? Are we actually meeting our customers in their day-to-day lives and disrupting their eye line, their eyesight, whatever it is that they're doing, whether that's on social media, using that platform, or whether that is, on the tubes, how they travel into work, whether it's their other media that they pay attention to sports teams that they're following, and how they're spending time at the weekends, the podcasts that they're listening to, sponsoring the right ones, and making sure that your repetition and the visibility is there, so that they this is now where me saying earlier on jealousy and playing with emotions kind of comes into this. I'm going to use influencing, but like, are you influencing their decision making, which ultimately is what marketing is, right? To make their own decisions. You want them to come or feel like it's an autonomous decision, that you are the right answer to their problems.
Yeah. But it's I mean, I studied psychology at university, and I think the psychology of sales and the buying psychology is just fascinating and so important, and not always that understood. But if we're used right, which I think we're both in the camp of using this in the right way, it can benefit the consumer, the buyer, the client,
100%.
the customer. People are not forced to buy Heinz ketchup.
Agreed.
They're not forced to pay a premium to work with a Levin brand.
Yeah.
There are other recruitment agencies out there. I think everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And as you say, that's not the only alternative. But there
Yeah.
are thousands of recruitment agencies, even in the niches. So it's not forcing, but a buyer gets a warm, fuzzy feeling. They put value on that.
They want to know that they've made the right decision. And I think ultimately we are also herd creatures, right? We want to be we want to kind of do what the status quo is in terms of what that is. And even if the status quo is something that's anarchist, or if it's something like, maybe that's your brand, because there are loads of brands out there that like challenge the status quo, and that's part of their brand. But whatever it is, you want to feel like you're part of that community that you associate with, whether it is you're making the smartest decision because this is the best for the network, this is the best for XYZ, or whether it is you're making the cleverest decision based on what your board says, or what the people, your circle of influence, your sphere of influence. That is such a powerful thing. And you mentioned earlier about like the being influenced by those core people, and that word of mouth piece is so key. And that is probably the hardest thing to influence as a marketer, because you have no say on whether someone is going to bring up your name in a room that you're not in. But that's where brand comes in. Like that really comes into brand. Branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I mean, you see it even in TV shows where they open their laptop and you see the little Apple logo on the laptop. And
subliminal messaging with it all.
Sometimes that's product placement. Sometimes that's because
they want to associate word with that brand. Yeah. And it makes sense it being for that character to be, okay, well, they've got an Apple Mac, so they must be creative. They must be using things they must be freelancey. They must be in that industry of some sort. Like, you automatically associate these words with a brand. Like, that's just naturally. And some people might have different views of it. Because of how that brand has positioned itself. I always think of like a Nike sort of business with this sort of stuff, because they have a very strong political message sometimes, depending on who they've decided to partner with, and the people and the personal brands. That's a really interesting kind of tangent here. But that is you still associate, whether it's the tagline or whether it is premium sportswear, or whether it's like whatever it is that you're talking about, you have an association with brands, and it's a balancing act of being able to make sure that you as a business, you as the marketing director, person who owns that brand, the brand voice, what are you saying to put out there that you're owning your narrative versus what is the market saying about you? Like, does it match up? Because there's only so much you can do. And you obviously, as a marketer, I don't close the deals. I don't speak to the candidates on a regular basis. I'm not having those conversations and those negotiations with it. So does the service match up to what you're saying is a really key part of it as well.
Yeah. And one of the 4 P's of marketing is product. But there
you go. That was the last one.
Recruitment marketers don't lead on the product, which in my view is not the candidate. It's the service, it's the experience. Let's keep running. This is fascinating. We've taken it from, well, rightly. I like to do this with pricing models as well. We want to learn from other industries. So you've talked us through, the Nikes, the Heinz's. Let's apply that to recruitment agencies. So just paint a picture. What would the perfect extreme of an incredible, well-branded recruitment agency versus an average recruitment agency? They haven't done anything on brand. Put ourselves in the client's shoes.
Yeah.
What does the client experience differently? What happens there?
I think a client experience, and then obviously what the service offering is. I think the client experience shouldn't differ from what they think it should be. Like, I think that is a really, that's kind of moving away a little bit. It's maybe a little bit of an easy out on this, but like whatever they think they are going to get, they should get that. If anything, they should be delighted. They should go, it should be above what they expected. We should always sort of exceed and delight the customer. So I always think of my, our head of learning and development when I first started. I remember him saying, who he used to sort of run for the first year before I joined the business. He was doing a little bit of dabbling in marketing. And one of the things that he used to say is, if you tell someone you're going to punch them in the face and you punch them in the face, at least they're not surprised. And that always has stuck with me because of how much it applies with this. If you say that you're going to do something and then you don't do it, there's disappointment already. Whereas if you don't say anything at all, they're not expecting anything. So what an experience looks like for a business that is able to charge high price points for, in our world, ideally, it's paid upfront. It's something that is on an exclusive basis. It's a retained, or at least a split over. We're paying some partial of it upfront. They have a very clear expectation of what they're going to get. We say that we're going to deliver X amount of CVs or interviews by a certain date, and we, if anything, over deliver on that. We kind of guarantee the experience. And if they don't get that, they will have additional things that are done in order to make them feel better about it. Again, taking it from a different industry, I would think this as like a Michelin star dining experience. If you're not having the steak cooked exactly to your liking, the chef's going to come over and make you feel better about it. That's the experience that we're trying to get for people, because we already know that they're going to be a little bit painful when they have to pay. It's not a cheap line on their budgets. So how are we softening that in any capacity? Not only are we delivering what we say we're going to deliver and saying that it's worth what you're actually getting, but you're also going to get, if there's opportunities that we can support you in other areas because we understand the pain points that you're having, not just the hiring pain points, then can we also help with that? Can we also talk about you on our social media in an employer branding capacity? So the roles that we can't help you, maybe it's going to help boost your inbound applications so that we can help on that front. Can we advise on, digital transformation through our CTO, bringing our CTO into a conversation with that? Like, are there other ways that we can help? And these like add-on things that don't cost us any money, but they are adding to the experience of what you're getting. And then obviously as I said before, like custom pitch decks, candidate packs, interview guides. The candidates are having the same experience as well with us as they are with the client, the end client. So we're kind of mediating between the two, but we're also making sure that they experience the Storm 3, Storm 4, Storm 2 brands in the same way, so that we're kind of piggybacking off of all of it, and everyone's having this shared delightful experience.
Yeah. I remember I went for one of those crazy multi-course tasting menus at a very fancy restaurant, and I think it was 12 courses. Yeah. And then they bring you like an amuse-bouche first. That's not one of the 12.
Yeah.
You're
just
like,
welcome. They'll give you a little extra palate cleanser. You're like, oh, I got 14 courses or something.
Exactly. 14 for the price of 12, which is, they didn't frame it in a cheesy, like buy one, get one free. But you think, they've gone above and beyond. And that kind of stuff is incredible.
Me and my partner went a few years ago, and I actually was very fortunate. I'd been saving up for this, but me and my partner took my parents to the Fat Duck, and it was one of those. That was my goal in life, to be able to kind of do something for them, and the experience that we had there was incredible. Like, the food was great. It was very good. 3 Michelin star restaurant, right? But it was the experience that we had. We had, the maitre d' and the waitress. It was just for our table. They got to know us. They actually made it. It was unlike anything else because of that experience. And there was other little things about it. They come with the bill, but then they also give you a little Madeline to take home afterwards, so that the last thing you're thinking of in the morning isn't the bill. It's not,
Yeah.
the last experience isn't that painful one. The last experience that you have with them and is something that is nice, that reminds you of the food that you had and the experience that you had. They brought out a note from that all of the kitchen staff had signed. So I was like, this is such an amazing thing that we can take home with us, that kind of is this reminder of it that isn't just the receipt.
Yeah. I always, that reminds me of something I always say. I think old school recruitment training was say the price and shut up, as in don't then degrade what you've just said. But actually, I don't agree with that. It's say the price and then reiterate your value and then shut up. Because you don't want to leave a silent room with the price echoing around it, or you don't want to,
exactly, because that's the only thing in their brain rather than value. They're just thinking about price, which are 2 separate things, I think.
Yeah. Your waiter, who you've got to know so well, slaps down the bill and walks off, and you're just looking at the numbers. Like, that influences your experience. Everyone is talking about AI-powered recruiters, but what does that actually look like? With Atlas as your CRM, it means every interaction with your candidate is automatically captured and searchable. If they mention their salary in an email, it's instantly recorded without you having to write anything. And behind the scenes, Atlas discovers every company that a candidate has worked for, the industries those companies operate in, as well as things like company size and description. All this means you can do your job much faster and add more value to your clients. To learn more about Atlas, go to recruitwithatlas.com. You mentioned retainers, which we're on the same page with this. Having multi-agency recruitment is a real challenge to delivering an incredible service. And part of what you said was actually you turn down roles that aren't right for you. I think that's a big part of that. But let's look at specifically marketing's role in solving this challenge. Winning a retainer or winning some kind of paid exclusivity, commitment is the big word. You want clients to commit to you. Financially is the best way of doing that at the start. Everyone has a role in that, but what can marketing do, and what do you do within Levin to help win that commitment?
Yeah, look, I think this is one of the things that makes recruitment a bit more unique, and not necessarily in a good way. I can't think of another industry that you don't pay up, like someone has to do the work before you pay. And we've normalized it. And if anything, we've normalized it and compete on it being cheaper if you do it that way, which is crazy. The commitment piece, I think it comes down again to trust. We are asking people to trust us. And for a marketing point of view, I think there are lots of tactical ways of kind of doing that. The reputation building online, whether that is through PR, whether that is through testimonials, case studies. We're a big fan of, at the moment, traditionally it's all logo blocks and quote cards on websites. That's quite a common thing. We've got case study docs, we've got things like that. What we've tried to flip our understanding of case studies and what we give to the team is focusing on impact that candidates and the placed hires have in those businesses, rather than it just being, we gave you X amount of CVs, this many interviews were had, and then this was our conversion rate, and this many offers that we sent out, etc., etc. The numbers are important, right? As individuals, I think that's an important thing for recruiters to know their numbers and their stats. However, end user, if I was a hiring manager, what I would want to know is, what is the retention of those hires? How, the ones that you're bringing into other businesses, how long do they stay in those businesses? How well have you represented us to the market in order to, not waste our time? Like, what are the pain points of the hiring managers that we're working with, where their time short, probably like budget lean, because that's just the market that we're in right now. But that's the only two kind of things that are hiring related. Obviously, the hire that they need to make, but the rest of it is all stuff that might be specific to their role, right? The CTO is not spending all day every day worried about the hire that they're making. They are probably spending a lot more time wondering if their business is AI ready, or wondering if it is, have they got the right tools in place, or do they have the right skill sets to use those tools? And I think that understanding of the bigger picture is a big thing that we make sure that we train our team on, and that builds that trust. So when it comes to having those initial conversations, the feedback that we regularly get is, you just get us, you understand our problems. And it's not just because we understand the roles that we're hiring for. Yes, they're all micro niche specialists. They do understand their roles intrinsically, and the hires that they're trying to make, and the jobs and what they do. But it's also just the hiring manager's pain points, and that's a really big part of that. That is across our content strategy from a marketing point of view. That is across our social strategy. That's across any of our events strategy. We try and make it about pain points that aren't just, here's how to hire for those roles, because any other recruitment person can do that. Like that's, if you're just competing on recruitment understanding, you are literally just one of, people look to differentiate you in different ways. So like that's how marketing is able to do that, by providing those case studies, by providing those documentations, by making us look as credible and authentic and valuable as possible, so that when people are having those initial conversations, when the commercial team, when the client success team are having those initial conversations, it's a bit of a no-brainer that you're going to pay up front for the cost, because you're going to get a better service. You're getting our promise that we will focus on yours first. You're getting our commitment as much as we're getting your commitment. It's very much built on this relationship idea, rather than it being transactional, which I think ultimately that is the bottom rung of what a recruiter should be. Because if it's just transactional, just go on a job board, post your job, that's transactional, right?
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. Yes, completely agree. We can't expect commitment from our clients unless we're showing that we're committing to them. So I think partly, the more roles you have on, the less committed you sound. There's so many ways we express commitment or lack of commitment. But you talked about marketing, putting together all these case studies, knowing these pain points. All of that is built on the foundation of really understanding your clients. And particularly with you, that you've got these micro niches, therefore you have so many different types of clients. So how do you develop a really good understanding of your clients, which is hard enough running in one industry,
3
in
brands
one niche,
already as a top.
but you're doing all of it. So literally, what do you do as a marketing team? How do you sit down with clients? Are you listening to them online? Talk us through that.
All of the above, really. I think it's really important for marketing to not sit in silo with our customer base. I think that when you are, it's really easy to think of marketing as a sales support function, or to think of it as something that sits in the third-party data. We sit in the internet, we sit in this ether, rather than actually as part of our customer base. And something that I do, but also I encourage it for the team as well, on a quarterly basis, we have to talk to customers. We have to have those conversations, whether it is, and because of that, we're part of processes around understanding buyer personas, understanding our ICPs, building out consumer behaviors as well. And like what I was saying earlier on about meeting your customer where you are, marketing had a big role in understanding where that customer is. And it's not just based on going into Reddit forums and finding out what they do spend their time doing. It's literally having interviews and conversations with customers. And that's we've got a really good process within Levin where we've got the marketing team, and then we've also got a client success team. And Chelcie, who is our SVP of customer success, has got a fantastic marketing brain as well. Like really understands that long-term, mid-term focus. Because I do think that the way that the market is, and we're very lucky that we're very busy. The team are very busy, but the recruiters do have to think a bit shorter term. They have to think about what's in front of them rather than having to think too far ahead. Obviously, some of the more senior ones do think like that. They do think about this long-term relationships, definitely, but what their next year looks like. But if recruiters are short term and the client success who are on those account management calls and all of that sort of stuff in the midterm, I always think marketing sits in that long term focus. Like I'm already in 2027 in terms of what we're doing. I'm already in 2030 sometimes in terms of what that looks like. What does Levin look like? What does Storm 2 look like? And who are we talking to? And how are the roles adapting? Because we're also in a time where the way that technology is moving, the way that the industries that we're working with, that changes a lot. So what worked 4 years ago, what worked 5 years ago, 6 years ago when I joined the business is not the same thing that is working now. There are new platforms, there are new, search. Look at how search is changing.
Yeah.
So things are changing so fast, and audience behavior is changing so fast. And that is the key part of this. If you're not understanding how your customers are using AI for search, if you're still doing SEO and all of these other marketing tactics from 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it's not going to be doing what you want it to be doing anymore. So it's really important to understand, first and foremost, what are your audience doing? So, and the only way to do that, in my opinion, is to ask them.
So I think a lot of your audience are in the US, so and you're in London at the moment.
Yes.
Are you flying out there? Are you sitting down with them? Are you convening events with them?
Teams is great for this. Google Meets,
it's a lot cheaper.
No, look, I'm very lucky. I do get to go out to the US a few times a year, and we'll absolutely try to have meetings. We're doing a lot of community marketing at the moment as well, so it's quite easy to have these conversations with our audience because it's not just me having to go to all the consultants and saying, who's your top customer? Give me their email address. I'm going to organize a call or anything like that. There's sort of a more organic way for me to have these conversations with people who just happen to be in our network. But yeah, most of the time that is virtual if it needs to be on a regular basis. But
yeah, I think the key thing there is investing it, and it's so hard
100%.
to find the time. And I think marketing is almost always a fraction of a recruitment organization.
Oh, absolutely.
But if there isn't a marketing function, then people, often the leaders, finding that time to understand the clients. I like that long-term, medium-term, short-term view as well. Again, someone in the business, whoever it is, has to be taking themselves out of the moment and out of the sell, because you can't sell to someone and also understand their pain points.
Yeah.
Because
agree.
It's buying psychology.
Yeah, totally agree.
Shields are up. You don't want to give away everything.
Yeah. And you think, especially if they're on that call immediately, even though we do get feedback, and I do get sent feedback of various calls and call transcriptions and themes and everything like that. But you're absolutely right. If someone knows they're being sold to, they don't want to give away more kind of ammunition as to what that salesperson can use to turn it into a sales reason. So for sure, that is always taken with a pinch of salt in those capacities. But yeah, we just have quite literally, we'll just sit on a 15-minute call with someone sometimes and just say, what's keeping you up at night time? we just want to know what you're doing.
And again, psychology, people love to be heard.
And they
Yeah,
just love to speak about themselves. Like,
exactly.
give people a mic and they're happy to chat. Case in point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I've run this podcast for so long. No, and yeah, it benefits the podcast, benefits us. Listening to our clients
100%.
benefits us, and yeah, it's nothing. It's a positive for them as well, as you say. Let's round off with another massive question. What would you say we need to do differently as an industry? How can recruitment be more valued? What do we need to do differently? And maybe what's marketing's role in that from your perspective?
Yeah. I'm biased, but I genuinely think that investing in your marketing function is one of the biggest opportunities that a lot of recruitment businesses have. I think that naturally, I've been around in recruitment now for coming up to a decade, and I understand how budgets work. I understand the systems, but that's not going to stop me from being the person that is trying to drive that we can make more of a difference than is being offered, in the space. Unfortunately, marketing is one of those functions that you have to spend money to make money. And it's just never really seen in the same instance as headcount growth or anything like that, which is crazy to me because, especially if you're in a grad model, and you've got people who might not know that they want to be in recruitment, and they're kind of testing the career ladder of where they want to go for it. This marketing for me feels like a more surefire thing than hiring another grad who may or may not leave without billing within 6 months. But without that gripe, I think the biggest opportunity is this brand idea, in my opinion. The way that consumers are behaving now, the choice is infinite. They have so many options, whether it is other recruitment businesses, whether it is a piece of tech that they can onboard themselves, whether it is investing in their own employer brands to bring in more inbound. If you are able to invest in brand and make yourself that obvious choice, then it makes, it's so much easier having inbound activity. Like, I don't know why anyone does. Like, everyone hates BD. Why would you want to not just have it always inbound? Like, it's crazy to me that that's just something that people are choosing.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I wonder if that ties into what we talked about earlier with retainers versus contingent. It's almost like, I mean, we have created this situation. The industry as a whole has ended up in this situation where a lot of people believe we have to, the status quo is we have to make the outbound calls, and we're unlikely to get commitment from our clients. And actually, what your message today is, that doesn't have to be the way.
I just don't think it does. I think it's I had a really interesting conversation with one of my consultants who I ran personal branding training session, which, on a miniature level is branding, right? It's just branding a person and putting that it's a very personal way of doing it because it's your personality and your character that is on the line, rather than it being this invisible brand that doesn't have a face to it. He's just had, I ran a sort of masterclass workshop with him last year. And he's just had £30,000 of retainers. So that's upfront costs. That's not even the full fees, but literally this month, 30K of retainers that have already paid up front, that has already guaranteed that his Q1 is looking very good, purely off the back of his personal branding work. Like, it's all inbound. Every single bit part of that is inbound. And he's obviously thrilled because it means that, yes, obviously he still needs, I am absolutely not saying that we should stop the outbound and we should stop the calls and we should stop doing that. Controversially, I think that the outbound stuff, I count sales as one of my channels, right? Like, they're going out and spreading the brand message.
True.
Don't put that in the board pack, but it absolutely is a marketing message. How the team are presenting the brand and how they're going to market is one of the go-to-market platforms. One of the channels that we're offering is them going out there and talking about these things and offering all of that sales stuff. There's I think sales is incredibly important. It's never not going to be important. It's the foundation of what recruitment is. But it doesn't need to be as hard as it is. I think that we could be making everything a lot easier by looking at these, you know, how often do you see what's the really expensive guitars? Fenders, is it?
Yeah,
How
let's
often
go
do you
with
see a
that.
Fender salesman?
True.
People are coming in and are choosing that. Like, unless you're specifically, there will be Fender salesmen that are probably going to the big businesses that are buying, or the big, you know, studios, music studios that are buying this, the big orchestras, I don't know, whoever it is that buys guitars on bulk. But they're in that space because they need to go and compete against other guitar salesmen because they're the ones that are buying it in bulk. Everyone else, as a choice, is coming and choosing you instead. So I think, yeah, in my opinion, the opportunity, how do we make recruitment more valuable, is spend your money on marketing, spend it on the brand, build that association that you are the person that people need to come and choose. Top of mind, easy to find. Make sure that you're there during that 5% of the time when people are actually buying. But the rest of it, 95% of your audience are not ready to buy right now. That's who you should be marketing to, because then in that 5%, they're coming to you.
Yeah, I really like that. I think one of the messages I took from that as well was marketing will make your life easier at a time when the world is getting harder. There's more choice out there. There's more alternatives, not just competitors. So without marketing, life is just going to get harder and harder. Actually get your branding right, get your marketing right, understand your market, and your life will feel easier, even in spite of those challenges.
100%.
Brilliant. I love it. Chelcie, thank you so much for joining us today. We covered so much, so really appreciate your time and your insights there.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks again to Chelcie for sharing her views and insights on recruitment and marketing. 3 things stood out for me. First, positioning Levin so that clients can't not choose us, in her words. In a world where there's more competition than ever, Chelcie is focused on putting her brand where her clients are. Second, Chelcie's commitment to understanding her clients, even when that means diving into micro niches, and the importance of market knowledge in driving client commitment and inbound business. And third, her approach of taking ideas that work from other industries and applying them to recruitment. Whether it's ketchup or sports shoes, there's so much we can learn from the wider world. If you found this show valuable, please leave a review and remember to subscribe or follow the show on your podcast app. You can also get insights and inspiration by signing up to my added value emails on Substack. You can find the link in the show notes. Now, go create some value. Thank you to Atlas for sponsoring the Value of Recruitment podcast. To learn more about how Atlas is creating an AI platform that helps recruitment agencies generate more placements with less effort, visit recruitwithatlas.com.